we're looking at this from.
Very good.
Okay? So, what will keep our sorrow or our weakness from turning into despair, from turning into fear, and unto bondage, is for us to see ourselves in the face of Jesus and see that when we feel weakness, it's not a sign that we're far from God. When we feel our soul subverted, it's not a sign that we're in unbelief or that we're not as we ought to be. Right? It's not. That causes you to be able to see how close you are to God right there in that moment. Right?
Yeah.
Because when you think you're not as you ought to be, what's going on in your heart is the same thing that happened with Adam in Genesis,
Yes.
where Adam drew away from God. Right? So when we think we're not as we ought to be, in our hearts, we're experiencing distance from God, even when there isn't any distance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when we can see that belief crushed, the distance we think is there is gone. Right? Because none of us really think that if you have life, that equals weakness, does it? So if we feel weakness, do you guys see how that could speak a subtle word that we don't have life?
Yeah.